Many of you will choose to start taking Social Security while you're still working. Now, for some of you, this may have no impact at all, but for others, because of this decision, you'll end up facing penalties. Now, the new numbers are in for 2026, and we'll know exactly who this penalty will impact. Today, I'm going to explain how this penalty works and let you know if you're one of the ones whose check will be affected. Now, this penalty I'm talking about are penalties that apply while you're working and taking Social Security before your full retirement age. It's called the earnings test, and we now know the 2026 numbers. So before we dive into this, let's do a review of how to figure out and calculate your full retirement age. So your full retirement age is based on what year you were born. So if you were born between the years of 1943 and 1954, your full retirement age is flat out going to be 66 years old. But in the years after that, they're going to add 2 months for each year. So if you were born in 1955, your full retirement age would be 66 plus 2 months. If you were born in 1956, your full retirement age would be 66 plus 4 months. 1957, it would be 66 plus 6 months. 1958, it would be 66 plus 8 months. 1959, it would be 66 plus 10 months. And then if your birthday is 1960 or later, your full retirement age is going to be 67 years old. So this is super important for a couple things. If you take Social Security early before your full retirement age, you're going to lose the amount of your benefit. And in this case of the earnings test, you're going to know your full retirement age because you could be penalized if you make over a certain amount if you're working and taking Social Security before you hit that full retirement age. So you can start taking Social Security benefits from your own work record as early as age 62. But you may not know that if you start taking early, that's going to impact how much money you get in your check. So let's look at an example here. This is someone who was born in 1960. So we know that their full retirement age is going to be 67 years old. Okay, so for this example, we'll say that this person's going to get their full retirement age benefit is going to be $2,000. So that's 100% of their benefit amount that they qualify for when they hit that full retirement age. Now, every year that you take early, you're going to lose 6%. It's pretty much 0.5% for every month that you take early. So you'll see here, if we work backwards, if you started taking at 66, you would only get $1,880 in your check. If you started taking at 65, you're going to lose another 6%. You're only going to get $1,760 in your check. If you go back to 64 and start taking, you're going to lose 18%, and you'll only get $1,640 of that $2,000. And if you start taking when you're 63, you're going to lose 24%. You'd only get $1,520 in your check. And then if you start taking as early at your earliest age of 62, you would lose 30% of your full retirement age amount, and that benefit's only going to be $1,400 a month. So every year we take early, we're going to lose 6%. Now, this works the opposite if we continue to grow our benefit past your full retirement age. So if we hold off, we could possibly grow it up to 8% every year that we wait up until the age of 70. So for this example, if this person waited till they were 68, they would get $2,160 in their check. They would grow at 8%. If they waited till they were 69 to take, they would end up getting $2,320 in their check and growing at 16%. And if they maxed it out at age 70, their benefit would be $2,480 every month because they grew it by 24%. Now keep in mind, this is going to be your benefit for the rest of your life. And there's ways you can calculate should you take early, should you not, and come up with your break-even point. Now what's important is this example is we're going to talk about these 2026 new earnings test amounts. And the earning test means that if you're working and taking Social Security before your full retirement age, you can be penalized if you make over a certain amount. There's a low earnings test and there's a high earnings test. We'll talk about that. But in this example, pretty much these years up here for this person, ages 66 to 62, would all have the earnings test applied. After you turn your full retirement age, you can work as much as you want and make as much money as you want, and it doesn't matter. So this earnings test applies to the years before you hit your full retirement age. Hey, if you found this video helpful, do us a favor. Go give us a like. We always appreciate it. And subscribe so you don't miss out on any of those future videos. And leave us a comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say. We love to answer any questions you have. That's what it's here for. So drop us a comment below. Now with this earnings test, let's talk about the types of income and wages that are tested. So it's literally just money you make from working through earned wages. So it's going to be your W-2 income that is tested. So now what is not tested are things like investment earnings, okay? Interest income, pensions, annuities, or capital gains. So any of these below, they are not going to be applied. They're not going to be factored into this earnings test. It is only going to be the money that you make in wages on your W-2 income. So capital gains would include things like if you had sold your home and made a profit, or possibly you sold some land or sold a business. That's not going to be included. Again, it's just going to be income you make through wages on your W-2 form or 1099 if you're self-employed. All right, so we talked about how you could lose money if you take early, right? If you choose to take before your full retirement age, you're gonna lose that 6% per year, and your benefit's already gonna be less than it would have at your full retirement age. But there's something else we need to know about. These are the new numbers that are out for 2026, and that is the earnings test numbers. So first, let's look at the low earnings test. So the low earnings test would be all of the years before you hit your full retirement age. So let's say your full retirement age is 67, just like we saw in our example. That means that in the years you are working and taking Social Security, when you're 66, 65, 64, 63, 62, you cannot make any more from wages than $24,480. If you make more than that amount, you'll get a penalty, and we'll talk about what that penalty will be in a moment. Now, the year that you're going to hit your full retirement age, that's when you have the high earnings test amount. And this year in 2026, that number has gone up to $65,160. So what this means is if I'm 67 years old, and my birthday is not till November, the year that I am turning 67, I would be in my full retirement age year. And that would be the year that the high earnings test would apply. If I go over this amount, then I'm gonna get a penalty, and we'll talk about that penalty in a minute. Now, once I hit my full retirement age, this goes away, and I can make unlimited income, as much money as I want. So really, this whole concern is if you're taking from 62 early all the way up until your full retirement age, whether that be 66 or 67, depending on the year you're born. So let's take a look now at what these penalties are and how they're going to impact your Social Security check. So let's look at the low earnings test years first. So we know the amount. You can't go over $24,480. So what if you made $38,000 that year and you went over? Well, what they're going to do is they're going to charge you a $1 penalty for every $2 that you went over. So let's think about this. If I made $38,000 that year, that means I went over this amount by $13,520. So they're going to penalize you $1 for every $2 you went over. So we would divide that by 2. So pretty much I would be penalized $6,760 for going over that much in that low earnings test year. Now, how does this work? You might think, well, I don't even have a check that big, right? I'm not even getting that much for Social Security. But what they're going to do is they're going to hold, let's say your Social Security check is $1,700. They're going to hold that completely and not pay you for each month moving forward until you've paid back that penalty amount. All right, so let's look at the high earnings test year. So this is the year that you're turning your full retirement age. So for 2026, the rule is you can't make more than $65,160. So let's say that I made over that amount in a surplus of $6,840. So what they're gonna do here is they're gonna penalize you $1 for every $3 that you go over. So let me use my calculator here really quickly. We went over $6,840 divided by 3. My penalty here would be $2,280 that I would be penalized. So what they really do, the reason they set this up, it wants to keep you from taking Social Security too early before you need it. If you're working and you're making so much money, they think this person shouldn't be dipping into their Social Security yet. So you want to make sure that you're really aware of these amounts, especially that low earnings test amount, because it could be so easy to go over that if you have a higher paying job, and you'll end up getting penalized and eating into your Social Security checks. So again, the important takeaway from this video is that you need to know these amounts. The low earning test amount for 2026 is $24,480. The high earnings test amount for 2026 is $65,160. So make sure you know all about the earnings test if you're choosing to work and take Social Security at the same time before your full retirement age. Now remember, when you hit that full retirement age, not only are you going to get 100% of your full benefit, but you're also going to be able to work and make unlimited income and not have to worry about the earnings test at all. If you want to learn more about when the best timing is for you to take Social Security, we have some great videos on that, and you can check one out right here.